Well, we've reached that time of year again where it's time to blow out your in-ground sprinkler system. I'm Jay, and I'm going to show you how I do mine. This is a very simple process. You will need an air compressor and some hoses, adapters. We're going to go over all of that. No worries on that. And I'm going to show you all the steps that are involved. This is something you can do on a nice Saturday or Sunday without any problem. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always call your sprinkler guy. One important tip before we get started: do this before the first frost, and especially if you can pick a nice day to do it, because you're going to be outside and might get wet and it's cooler out and might not be that nice. So it's a nice day today. We got that going for us, and we haven't had a frost, so we're definitely in the clear. I've been doing this now for probably, I think this is going to be the 15th year easily, and I've never had any problems doing it this way. So let's get started. The first thing that I want to do before we go ahead and blow it out is simply test the sprinkler system. Why? Well, you're usually sleeping when it goes on, so you don't know if heads aren't firing or anything like that. It's important to check that and at least make a mental note of that head over there isn't working. I'll deal with it in the spring, or maybe you could take care of it right now. And you know, if you know this is something I'm not going to be able to take care of, you can know that you can always call a sprinkler guy to come in the spring and not only turn your system on, but get that head firing again or replace it or whatever has to be. So let me show you how I test mine. Everybody's timer is different. So how you're going to do this, you're going to have to read the book on your timer to find out. This one is an old school one, and they make it really, really easy. It's got these sliders here. I select whatever zone and how much time I want, and then go for it. That's all there is to it. No, fancy programming or anything like that. You just move the slide switch there. So I'm going to move all of these up to 2 minutes, and we'll test it out. Now, zone 5 I don't really use, but I do charge it up and discharge it in the winter. I do not have zone 8, so that remains off. The rest I've set to 2 minutes. So with that, I simply hit manual. It says all, press enter. The water meter should start moving. Let's go outside. So starting in the bushes here, there's a head somewhere buried in there. It's firing because I see water dripping off. I have one in the corner. That is firing as well. There's a drip emitter over here. Water going on the ground and somewhat in the plant, so that's working. One in the corner here, I see all the water dripping on that. Down over here, there's one which is spraying out. And over here, there are 3 more. One here, one there, and one all the way in the corner. So zone 1 is working properly. Now all I do is just wait the rest of the 2 minutes for zone 2 to fire. I think we might have a bad head on that. Okay, we have a head right there, a head here, and there is supposed to be one down somewhere in this neck of the woods. You can see the water. It's right there, but it's not firing. It's probably grown over. So one thing we can try, don't know if it'll work, because we have very low water pressure today. There's something going on with the water company. Just step on it like that, but I don't think that's popping it in this case. Oh, it did. It worked. So there's that one. So I know that I'm going to have to look at this. This head, the top is broken on it. And the worst part, it's by the street. We get a fair bit of traffic, so sand, because I'm on an island, kicks up and jams this one up a lot. Could step on this one as well. Not incredibly happy about it. This needs a replacement. All the heads on my system need to be replaced because they're pretty old at this point. But otherwise, zone 2 is now working. And all we did was just stomp on a working sprinkler on that zone, and that was able to pop the other head. Now we'll wait for zone 3. That doesn't, of course, fix this sprinkler, it just makes it working for now. But again, I know this had to be problematic, so there you go. Okay, zone 3 is up. We have a head over here which is working properly. One over here which is, and one down over here. And that's working well also. Now we wait for zone 4. Okay, here's zone 4. Head over here, and one over by the fence. Doing fine there. Like I was saying about it being a nice day, it sure is. It's about 65 degrees and sunny. That's what you want. And zone 5, we got a head here. A head here. You can see how grown over they've gotten, because like I said, this zone isn't used. And there is a head in the corner. You can see the water, but probably growed over. So we're going to come back once again. Yes, I'm aware this head is leaking. Like I said, they're all old and need to be replaced. We're going to stomp on it, and magically there it is. But there's no water. So I'm going to have to pick at this. The nozzle is just plugged up over here. Maybe if I stomp it a couple more times it'll force it out, but like I said, this zone isn't really used. We'll try it once just to see. This zone obviously isn't used because of the lawn ornament here, but at least it's getting a little bit of a bath. Oh, well, I got a little something. I'll work on that and get that cleaned out. Sometimes you could stick a little screwdriver in there and pop it. And into the backyard. I got to remember where the heads are. We got one over here. That's working. One over there. That's working. And one here, which is working as well. I just got sprayed by one of the heads walking over here, but like I said, it's not bad out, so, you know, I'm fine. It's perfect. Now we'll wait for zone 7. And here's zone 8. Thinking about it. It's got to fill the lines and get everything going there. So that's working. We got one over here. That's working fine. There is one right here. It's, you know, it's done watering for the season, so it's just hitting the chair. It's fine. And one more. We'll go around this guy here. And yes, I can see that's firing as well. So that's all good. Okay, so the only zone that we really had a problem with was 2. Well, we had a problem on 2 and 5. 2 has been fixed. 5, let's see about it. I like to take care of minor problems like this while I can before closing it, because otherwise you got the entire winter to think about, what am I going to do in the spring? Will it magically work? Do I have money then to call a sprinkler guy? Anything like that. So we're going to work that one out real quick. So here's 5 again. Well, we got a little something. There he goes. See, that wasn't too bad. Just a little screwdriver. That's it. That's all it needed. And everything's good. And again, the main reason this is happening is age and sand, and little used, I think, also contributes to it. Now let's go ahead and set up to blow them out. Let's talk about the equipment that you're going to need. First of all, an air compressor. How big? It's going to depend on the size of your house and how many zones you have, and most importantly, how long you want to wait. The more air you have, the better and faster this process will be. It's that simple. I have a 15-gallon air compressor with a 7-gallon auxiliary tank to give me 22 gallons. And that's more than plenty. You don't maybe need that much, depending. If you have kind of a small postage stamp of a house and property, you can get away with a 6-gallon one. That might be fine. It really all depends, but the more air you have, the better. Next thing you're going to need are hoses, and I have this blue hose, which is running over to where we're going to need it in a bit. And this, I made this hose here, and you can do the same. They do sell these devices online, but they're not as nice as this. This is way better to have kind of a whip hose like this. It just makes it a lot easier. All this is a washing machine fill hose that you can get at any hardware store, and a couple of air fittings. There's your air fitting right there, female thread, male thread, and this diameter right here is just perfect to fit the diameter of the washing machine fill hose. You see how it just widens the hose out like that, and a hose clamp. Now you can add additional stuff to this, such as a regulator and or a shutoff valve. I recommend at least a shutoff valve. You can plumb it right in there if you want. A friend of mine did that, but I have this concoction here. And what that is a regulator followed by a shutoff valve. And the reason it's this way is the tank of air is going to plug in here. This gauge is going to show how much pressure we have. You can turn that knob and dial it down, so we'll talk about how much pressure you should put into the system. You're going to have people tell you, oh, no more than 30 psi, no more than 50 psi. I wouldn't do any more than 60. You know, everybody has a different opinion, and that's fine. Nobody's correct. What I do, and I'm not saying I'm correct either, is I give it the full chooch. Everything that tank has, the full pressure, which on mine is 125 psi, I shoot through this. The more water you get out, the better the result is going to be in the spring when you don't have any broken pipes or anything like that. Okay? You may wish to dial the pressure down. That's perfectly fine, and using a regulator like this, and your air compressor has one on it, you can dial it down there instead if you want. I like this here, but I don't use the regulator part. It's just there, so I don't have to walk 75 feet back into the garage and go all the way to the back of the garage where the compressor is to see how much pressure I have. I can tell right here. And that's nice to know. Plugged into that is this, which is simply an inline shutoff valve. You turn it on or off. Off is perpendicular, and on is parallel, and that's all there is to it. This is going to plug in there, and this end is going to go to the water spigot that is plumbed in to my system on the sprinkler line. You may or may not have that. If you don't, like I said, I can only show you what I have. You'll have to find some adapters and fittings and whatnot to go and interface with what you have. But having a regular hose spigot outside like you use for your regular garden hose is especially a nice thing in this case, because it lets you purge the line in the spring, and easy hookup to blow it out. First we need to shut the water off and then drain it. But I want to show you one other thing that happened in the interim. Zone 5 has finished, but the head is sticking up. That's not good. Now you can spray it off with the hose, clean it with your hands or a brush or anything you want. One thing I found that works pretty well, that I have never done to this head before, but I have on other heads on the system, is if you get one that sticks up, first of all, if you have landscapers, you don't want them whacking that with the mower and then not telling you, and then you're going to find out the hard way and be stuck with the bill. So to fix that, well, it's not really a fix. Like I said, the problem is it's little used and sand, and it's also by the curb, and that doesn't help. If you have a stuck head like this, consider using something like this. This is WD-40 silicone lubricant. It must be Silicone, not the regular WD-40. That's probably not going to help you. The silicone is water resistant, and that's why you want to use that. You can use any brand you want. This is the one I happen to have, and you just spray it all down nicely. Just soak it. Okay, it's not really going to hurt the lawn or anything like that, no worries. And because we're shutting the system down, we'll just step on it. It might pop back up when the air goes through it. It might not. Again, I'm not terribly concerned about it. But let's go ahead, drain the water out, and blow it out. Here's another one that's staying up. This one, I had done this fix on, but it doesn't last forever. Okay, so you're going to have to do it, and then again, just go ahead and pop it down, and it'll be just fine. So when you notice them pop up, spray it with this stuff, pop them down, and it's probably good for the season. This is the first time it stayed popped up all season after I did this. Something else you may wish to have is a washing machine fill hose, a spare one that is intact, just like you get from the store. I got two of them here. For some reason, I've amassed a collection of them, and I'm going to end up using both of them. You may not even need it, but might not be a bad thing to have. And there's also one other adapter, which I'll show you later on. So here is the water supply for the sprinklers, and there's a valve right here. So we're going to go ahead and turn that off. Okay, again, just like the air valve, when it's perpendicular to the pipe, it's off. Notice there is a petcock there, and when I unscrew that, water is going to start coming out of that little hole there. But we have to go back outside to ensure there is a head of air before it. On the right is the regular hose spigot that was on the house originally. This pipe is for the sprinklers. It comes out and it goes to a valve very similar to that. So we're going to go ahead and turn that on. Remember, the water is off inside. You heard a little bit of air. Open that all the way up. And we can leave it open because we're going to need it open to administer air. And that's where we're going to do it from. So you can leave that open. And yes, if you really wanted to, you could skip that inline valve on the air line and just use this to turn it on and off. But I'd hate to break this and then have to call a plumber for that. I mean, it does just unspin and you spin a new one in, but still, for a couple of bucks, get the one that goes on the air hose. It's a lot better. There's just whatever air is getting in there to drain out residual. That's fine, it doesn't matter. We have to go back in and drain it in there, and then we're ready to blow it out. And there we go. I've opened that up and it's just draining out into a bucket there. Now we just dump that out. Make sure you close that when you're done, because otherwise you'll be in for a nasty surprise inside. So there is my washing machine fill hose adapter. It's connected to this red hose, which is just an extension to go over here where it conveniently fits right in the rusty railing. And you can see we're gauging. The air compressor is running, it's filling up, and all we need to do now is just wait. But you can't turn it on yet because you have to turn the zone on first. There's two ways to do that. Back in here on the ground, you see that big green cover? In there are the sprinkler valves, and there's going to be a black cylinder sticking up on that. You can give those about a half turn to maybe a full turn counterclockwise and open each zone manually like that. But I don't like doing that because you never know if you get them fully sealed again until the spring and all that. I like to do it electronically right through the timer. That's what it's there for. That's what it's doing. So might as well use it that way. Very helpful in that case, however, to have an assistant to turn a particular zone on or off for you. So this way you don't have to run up and down stairs or go back in your garage or wherever the controller is for it. Okay, we're all set. So we're going to turn zone 1 on. On mine, I just moved the slider up to manual on, and it will reflect that in the display there. And zone 1 is on, and we're ready to administer air. It's not sprinkling because the water is off and we have air connected, and we're going to open that air valve now. I'm also going to take this adapter with me. That's going to become important later. You see, I hang it right here, so I always know where it is. Now the moment when it happens. We're going to open this valve up, and it's going to blow all the water out. Do not just switch it on. You must do this slowly. See, just a little at a time. You can hear it. Work it way all the way open. That's the first head on the zone, so there's air there. That's getting air. They may not get air all going down the line. I'm hearing some air down there, but not here yet. That's okay. I don't remember how it was exactly plumbed. Might see some mist coming up right there from that head. That's good. Over here, see all the mist? Take a look over here. You want to get as much of that out as possible. Keep blowing air. The better you do blowing this out, the better your chances everything will be fine in the spring. It's that simple. Everything is going. You can hear the compressor is running. This doesn't have any water to speak of, but this one still does. That one also, I know that's at the end of the zone. There's still water coming out. We're not done. You got to wait, and it's a very good idea to do each zone 2 times, maybe even 3, depending on what you're most comfortable with. But we still have water here. So it's working on it. We still have mist over here. We'll just let it run. Eventually what may happen is we may run out of air. In fact, we're going to several times during this. And heads may pop back down if they pop up normally, which is okay. And looking in here, see, still a little bit of water coming out. So not great in terms of blowing everything out. It's much better. We definitely got air over here. And plenty of air at the beginning of the zone. You hear that sound? That could be, or that is your sprinkler valve. It hums or something like that when you blow air through it. But I think we've expelled about as much air as we can on that tank. So we're going to shut it off. And now I'm going to watch this and wait till it fills all the way back up. I can hear the compressor also, so it's kind of a moot point, but I just like seeing it so I know when it's getting close, you know, just like that. So we'll wait, let this fill up for another tank, and then we'll hit zone 1 again. Okay, the tank has refilled. So we're going to open this again, still on zone 1, slow. And again, it's going to be mostly air at this point. We're more concerned with the end of the zone. Really don't see any moisture coming out of these here. Looking good, looking good. That one's fine. No more mist over here, but there is a little bit at the end. Hopefully you can see it. Now again, you can't get every last droplet out, and that's okay. We're looking to do as good of a job as you possibly can, and that's going to be good enough. Don't just blip it for 3 seconds and call it good. You know, make a concerted effort. There. Now we're looking pretty good. Only a couple little drippy drops at the end every now and again. I'll just let it blast to be thorough with everything. That looks pretty good right there. Again, little drippy drops here and there aren't going to make a difference. But I'll let it go while we have the air. When that's done, we're going to shut that air valve off. Very important. Shut the air valve off. Let the air tank refill. And we're going to switch to zone 2. This one has still got just enough air to stay up, but this one that was sticking up before that I sprayed with silicone, look at that. It popped down all on its own like it's supposed to. All else is good. Let's go ahead and shut that down. And now we're going to go switch to zone 2. Okay, we're going to switch zone 1 all the way to manual off. And zone 2 all the way to manual on. And let's head back outside. Perfect timing. We're refilled and ready to go for zone 2. Slowly turn the valve. And there we go. 1, 2, and 3. Get in here where I can. There we are. And this one here is doing fine as well. Excellent. So we just need to get all of this mist out. That one popped down already, almost all the way. That's all right. And this one has gotten most of its water out. There it goes, see? But I'm going to let it just go for a little bit yet, because there's still water. I know there was a little bit of a puddle there, but there's still stuff in the line. That's probably good now. So we'll shut this off and let the tank refill. Zone 2, second blast. Nice and slow. Now the heads may or may not pop back up. They did. See, we still got a little mist there. Just little tiny droplets. This one's looking pretty good. Not seeing anything there. It's going down. And over here is still up. Right there. What you're hearing is just whatever water is around the base of it. So it looks like zone 2 is about done. No more water coming out. That popped down. Valve sings every now and again. It's okay. And shut it off. Let our tank refill, and then we'll blast zone 3. Remember, I have to go downstairs and switch to zone 3. I do have a helper who's going to do that for me, save me running up and down the stairs. Time for zone 3. Turn it on nice and slow. Especially important on the first blast. Here it is. Okay, now we're all the way on. Good. Getting some air there. And maybe a little... There it goes. No, there's the air now. And you see how these are winding down already, which is pretty good. This one has got more for whatever reason. I can't make heads or tails out of how and why of each one, but it just is. Looking a lot better there, and a couple little drops here and there. Looks like it's doing the trick. We lost this head already. That one popped down, and this one did too. Give it a couple more seconds. Probably good. And shut that off. Let the tank refill and blow that zone again. Zone 3, second blast. Spill some water. Looks fine. That looks fine too. Everything's going as it should. Still just a couple little drippy drops at this end. It's popping down already, just running out of air. Different zones have different number of heads and different things going on, and it's still got a little bit, so we'll just let it go. But even right now, if you just left it, you're probably good. But you got everything hooked up, you're out here. Like I said, it's a nice day. If it takes 2 minutes longer, what's the big deal? And again, that's just the water that pools by it. That's really going to do it for that. Shut that off, let the tank refill, and then we'll blow out zone 4. Okay, zone 4. This zone is a little weird. So I like to go really slow with this one. And there we go. Now let's take a look. This only got 2 heads on this zone. We got plenty of air here. Now we got air. But there's still a lot of water. It's gotta go. Hopefully you can see all the mist. This one's looking better. Valves are singing. Like I said, it's okay. Horrible sound sometimes. Still needs a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's looking a lot better now, but we still have air, so I'll just let it blast, shut it off, and then we'll hit it a second time. Zone 4, second blast. Nice and slow. Nothing here. Whatever from the ground, but nothing shooting out of the nozzle. Looks like zone 4 really was fine on the first blast. You can get away with it if you want. Cut the job time in half, but I like being thorough. Everything looks good. We'll shut that down. A couple drops, like I said, not going to bother anything. We'll shut this down and go to zone 5. Zone 5, first blast. Open it up nice and slow. There we go. It's clogged again. Get more stuff in it. Alright, we'll work on that. That's doing good. That's doing good. Let these blow out for a bit. Anyway, I'll get a screwdriver and poke at that. There we go. Now it's coming out. We've got to wait because the rest of the zone is empty, but this, because it had a tiny orifice, wasn't. And I'll probably need to address this head again in the spring. You can take out, there's a little screw there, I don't know if you can see it. You can take that out. You need a special tool for it. But like I said, I don't really use this zone anyway, it's just here, so it is what it is. I think this system was put in 2008, If I'm not mistaken, this being 2025 means I've been doing this for 17 years now, and everything in the system is that old. So we gotta wait for this to blow out over here. I'll poke it a little more with the screwdriver, and then we'll give it a second blast. All right, zone 5, second blast. And we'll go take a look. Yeah, down at the end, we still have some water, because we kind of wasted the previous tank, so to speak, because nothing was coming out. So the water in the pipe running back over here didn't get blown out too well. You know what I'm saying? So we wouldn't want that to freeze and potentially cause a problem to this head that isn't firing to begin with. So I poked it out with the screwdriver, and now we're looking a lot better. These two heads have already popped down, and they're all doing good. And this one did too. That's it for zone 5. Just a couple, you know, whatever's in the ground here. It's good now. That's it for zone 5. Let's go to 6. The weather is clouded up over here, as you can see. Over here is nice blue skies. So I don't have any sun now. It's a lot cooler. It's still not too bad out. It's fine, really. But with that sun out, it's actually nice. So, like I said, if you can pick a nice day to do this, definitely take advantage of the nice weather. Okay, we're ready to do zone 6. That's in the backyard. So I got to turn this on, and I'm going to run back there as fast as I can. Turn it on nice and slow. Let's go. Right on time. There's the air. Very good. We got air there. And that one you can see the little puff like that. So still plenty of water to go. This being the backyard is a longer run. When I first started doing this, I used to hit the backyard zones 3 times each, but I've been doing 2, and they've been perfectly fine. Still got a lot of water though, so it's going to take time. You can see how old and beat up these heads are. The top is broken off, and it's been around. They need replacement. Same thing here. Still broken out. They just get old in that, like everything else. Alright, so still a little more water, but doing okay. Still a little bit. Still a little bit. So we'll let that run while we have the air. But you can see it's even better now than it was just a moment ago. So that's probably good. Let me go back to the front, shut that off, let the tank refill, and we'll hit it for its second blast. Little drippy drops. Same here again, like I said, even if that stayed in the line, you're not hurting anything. The whole idea is to get as much out as you can, because we know that water expands when it freezes. So by getting most of it out, a little water is sitting at the bottom of the pipe and it freezes. It's got plenty of room to expand without busting the pipe. We'll let that go. That's good. Here I think it's perfect. Just a little drop here and there. Nothing to speak of. It's just this one that has a little bit. So, like I said, while the air is there, let it blow out. I'll let the air tank empty out on this and get most of it out. and it'll be just fine. And then we'll move on to zone 7. Zone 7, first blast. Let's go to the back. Got air there, not here yet. This is at the end of the zone, I know. Got air there. That one's got air. And this one ought to, yeah, see? Because the water comes from the front of the house over there to here first. So that way you can find out where heads on your zones are. I don't know how they did this, if they went from here to there and then up there, I guess. I don't know. That's popping down already. We still have. And I think the other one popped down already also, yes. So this zone blew out a little nicer than the previous one, but it does have one extra head. That would make sense. Okay, let's shut that down and hit it for a second blast. Zone 7, second blast, nice and slow. Let's go to the back. Whole lot of nothing going on. There's nothing to speak of there. Sometimes the heads won't pop back up. That's okay. There it is right there. This popped back up. Pop down. You know, nothing. And one more over here, and I think it didn't even pop because there's no water to push it up, you know? Yeah, we're good. Okay, that's not the end of this though. Now we're going to want to shut this down. I've already shut zone 7 on the sprinkler timer, but we're going to close this off. It's probably okay if you left it open also, but I don't want critters getting in there. And there's another valve here, so we'll shut that. Just, it's there, you know. If you don't exercise it, it won't work for you. So I exercise it twice a year to turn it on and turn it off. But like I said, there's more to the story here. 93.7688888 repeating percent of garden hose failures occur over the winter when they freeze. While you have the air out, blow out your garden hose. You have the right connection for it. I'm going to take the nozzle off here, let any pressure out if anything. I don't think it has any. Good. We'll take the nozzle off. I've already disconnected it from the house over here. And now you would think that you can just screw this on and blow it out. And you certainly can do that and it'll work. But what I like to do is blow out all the hoses. I got a hose in the back also. So I'm going to unwind this and put this end over the fence. The problem we're going to have is that doesn't work. But remember before I had that adapter right here, and that adapter will allow us to adapt. Years ago we used to be able to say gender bender, but that's not politically correct these days for some reason. People tend to bend their own. Screw that in there, okay, and this end in here. And now I'm going to run this over the fence to the backyard. Now as far as your hose nozzles, take them off the hose and store them inside. Whether it's just inside your porch, if you have a shed, a garage, anything like that is fine. Just keep them out of the weather. I didn't over the years, and then I learned to. The damage is done, but hey, it still works, so it's good. But now we're going to connect this hose, the backyard hose, to the front. But once again, we have that age-old problem. This will do thy bending. It's a washing machine fill hose. I showed it before. And we simply connect between. Now, blowing the front hose into the back hose, and then it goes further out, which I'll show you in a minute, is not the best way to do this. But it's going to get enough of the water out that there's not going to be a problem. That hose tees off and goes to an in-ground sprinkler pipe over here to that for the pool. But I don't want to put any more water on the cover than it already has from the rain. So I have yet another washing machine fill hose. And I'm going to simply attach it to that and direct the water away. Now when you do this, you're going to need to hold on to it. If you ever saw like a fireman's hose where it flails wildly like that, you got to hang on to this because it's going to have a lot of pressure in it. Or if you can't be there to hold this end while you turn the air valve on, put a brick on it, something to keep it held down, because it's going to flail around and could hit something, and that might be bad. All right, now we're going to turn the air on. There we go. Now this is going to take a while because it's got miles of hose to go through. But you see how I don't want this going onto the pool, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Now it's okay right now, but at the end, when it gets rid of all that water, you can see how it's going out farther and farther and farther. That's a lot of water to still get out, so it's going to be a while here. So we'll let this go, and then I'll blast this for a second time. I'm sure you understand that part by now. But again, there's still something else you should consider doing before you're done. 89.376% of pressure washer failures occur over the winter. If you used yours this year, this goes for a gas one as well, this one's electric, you want to blow it out. Hook your hose up, do everything that you normally do. Don't turn it on or start the engine or anything like that. And once again, we have this age-old problem where they don't go together, but we have our adapter. So we simply screw that on over here and screw this on over here. Okay, squeeze your handle, point this away from everybody and anybody, and turn your air on slow. We may get some water come out, we may get none come out, but better safe than sorry. Here we go. One little drop. It's okay. Take the, a little more. There we go. We're getting some. These just little drippy drops. Get rid of the nozzle. Oh, we got a little more now. So I guess we'll wait. I think that's pretty much it. Get rid of the nozzle. A bit more, not too much. Okay, that'll do just fine. Now disconnect everything and go in the house. One more thing to do. So that's really all there is to it. On this now, I turn this dial to off, and yes, I have to go all the way that way because you can't turn it the other way like that. These were all set to 25, so we'll set all those back so it'll be ready for next year. And zone 5 will leave because that's, we'll see if I'll charge that up next year. Everything else is good, and that's it. Close that up. Now it's still plugged in. My recommendation, leave it plugged in because there's probably a battery in there you haven't checked in years, and as long as you have power, it'll hold the program in there. So now might be a good time to check and or change the battery. I did that not too long ago, so I know that I'm good to go with that, but I still recommend, even with a good battery, you leave it plugged in year-round. Don't bother resetting the time for daylight savings time if you have that by you, because no one's looking at the time. It just needs to be there to know when to turn on and off, and there's no sense changing it only to have to change it back, or worse yet, forgetting. And that's all there was to it. Just 1.5 million steps. No big deal. It's a time-consuming process. This entire thing took me about 3 hours. But remember, I'm making a video that's immediately twice as long as it would normally take. Otherwise, if I could just bing, bang, boom right through it, probably about 1.5 hours at the most. But I have to stop and explain things and etc. So it takes a lot more time to for me to do this. But anyway, that's all done. I'm satisfied because I know that all of the heads are in good shape. That one on zone 5, might have to poke it next year with a screwdriver. Eventually I'll get all the sand and junk out of it. But like I said, it's not used all that often. If you get stuck at any point, remember you can still call your sprinkler guy. You're not hurting anything here. If you're afraid to put full pressure into it like I did, then you can dial it down and experiment with it and see what that'll do for you at 30 psi, 40 psi, 50 psi, or up from there to 125 like I did. Nothing bad happened. Like I said, I've been doing this for 17 years now. It was 2008, I remember, is when the system was put in. And yeah, everything has been going absolutely fine. Year after year, after year, after year, after year. So you can do it yourself, provided you have an air compressor and a couple hours on a nice Saturday or Sunday, something like that. Again, pick a day where the weather's nice. It clouded up on us, but it was still 65 degrees out, so not a big deal at all. It was still plenty warm enough out. Don't wait. I did that. I made the mistakes in the past, waiting until, oh boy, it's getting down to 33 tonight. I think we're going to be okay, I hope. And then you got to worry about it all winter and stuff like that. And then you're standing out there and it's 43 degrees and you're shivering, and then the thing sprays you and now your pants are wet and you're standing there and you're trying to drink coffee or something, and it's miserable. Do it when the weather's nice. It's early October here still, and the weather's still, you know, nice enough to enjoy being outside. Take advantage of it. Your lawn, quite honestly, doesn't need the water anymore. It's cooled off quite enough, probably, by you that you can do it around this time of year. And again, do it ahead of the crowd. So again, if you have any problem and you really want to call your sprinkler guy instead, he's not all booked up. So that's something to also keep in mind right there. So you learned a number of tips and tricks along the way, stomping on the heads to get other ones to pop up, spraying them with the WD-40 silicone or any silicone spray like that, and the entire process for blowing it out. Take the time to blow out your hose, your garden hose, and your pressure washer if you have that, because again, that freezes. Do you want to spend another $6.99 on a pressure washer next year? Probably not. I didn't think so, especially if the one you have is working fine. Or if you got an electric one, probably a lot less than that. But still, you don't want to spend that money if you don't have to. And by doing this whole job yourself, your sprinkler guy, he might have gotten, I don't know, 60 bucks back in the day. It's probably $1.50 now. You know what I'm saying? Prices are only going up, and they're only going to continue to get more and more insane as time goes on. So listen, if I helped you out here, I'm really happy to hear that. If you would please click on that super thanks button below the video. That really helps me out and helps the channel out. I thank you all very much for watching, and I really do appreciate it. Make sure you click like, make sure you click subscribe, ring the bell, and take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.